Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope your afternoon is lovely. I'm really enjoying my afternoon with this evening. The African sun is quite entertaining. It feels good also to bask in the grace of God as we once again delve into the Word to find the wisdom appertaining to life and godliness. Today, as we continue to explore the principles of the kingdom of God, it is my pleasure to address a somewhat conventional topic. By that I mean some of us may not find it very spiritual, but nevertheless, I personally believe it's an important Bible principle that would help to make life what life is supposed to become. You notice that the title of my message this afternoon is why you should develop the culture of reading books. Now, why did I decide to talk about reading? I know it's a fact that most of us, the majority of us, have gone to school. We've spent at least a minimum of 16 plus years in school for most of us, and others even much more than that. And therefore, the issue of reading books is not a new thing to you. But now you find, as I always say, the why of something is more important than the how. Now, what I mean by that is that it is crucial, it is of great importance that we understand why we get into reading. Now, for most of us, truth be told, we only read because we had to, and we wanted to get them certificates so as to find a job and get set for life. But reading has even a greater purpose. Now, if it may interest you to realize that the originator of the culture of writing, jotting down materials and documenting information was God Himself. Now, we all know that the first 5 books of the Bible, called the Pentateuch, that's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, were written by Moses. But I want, particularly this afternoon, to talk about the book of Genesis. Now, if God had not narrated to Moses the account or the record of how He created the world, what we find contained in the book of Genesis would be still a mystery to this very day. But now God told Moses, write down. But now most of us would wonder, when did that happen? You realize that on the first instance, when Moses went up the mountain, he spent 40 days and 40 nights there. And when he was coming down, he came with the 2 tablets upon which were written the 10 commandments. Now there you have it. You realize that the 10 commandments were not something that Moses just held in his memory, but they had indeed been inscribed on a stone, let alone on a paper. Now, during that 40 day stay up the mountain, God indeed spoke a lot of things to Moses, and the instructions were to write them down. God wanted them documented because there is an impact that is unique to something that's written down. That is why you find even the governments of our day, even the libraries and history, has developed and actually has found out the importance of documenting. And that is why God did not tell Moses, listen to me. And equally, God did not show Moses a video. God did not take Moses on a tour, but He told him, write these down, and He personally on the first occasion wrote it down for him. Now, this is the secret. Whatever was inscribed on the tablets of stone was law. It was the principles by which the children of Israel were supposed to live by. Now, there is a big disadvantage for those people who abhor books. I know, especially here in my country, it is common thing to find people saying, I got done with reading when I got out of school, and the only thing I read is my Bible and a newspaper and, of course, an SMS on my phone. But I would say it is ignorance of the highest order for anyone to stay off books, because great wisdom, principles, and concepts that would change your life are not normally transferred through a telephone conversation. There is very little wisdom that you can download from a video, but you find most books contain concepts that are powerful. And that is why, in spite of the great advances in technology today, schools still rely on textbooks. Even in the most advanced countries, you'll find they've never gotten to that level where they want to teach through videos 100%. In fact, the technology core ways of teaching only form less than 10% of the methodologies used in the world today. And there is a reason for that. Because books contain wisdom. If you shun books, you live like a man who doesn't learn principles and they only rely on what is in their mind or what gets conveyed to them by their friends. And I would say, to say the least, that is dangerous. It is like a pilot trying to steer a plane while having lost touch with the controls. If you rely on your fellow pilot to direct you, then you can be most certainly sure you cannot avoid an accident, because they are in the same predicament you are in. There are no highways and road signs up there. And to tell you for a fact, a pilot can scarcely see 270 degrees behind him. There are no rear view mirrors and side mirrors on an aeroplane. So the only way for an aeroplane, for a pilot to be certain is going the right way, is to keep in touch with the control. Now, if you avoid wisdom, the principles that have been documented in books for many years, you rely on the advice of friends and what tradition hands you down, you risk colliding because you don't know who else is flying at your altitude and in your direction, and most likely at twice the speed you are in, and therefore a crash is inevitable. Now, does it surprise you that a lot of people seem to have crashed in life? They just landed into the wrong ditch. They just bumped into an issue they cannot counter because they avoided the wisdom that is in books. God himself told Moses, write it down. And he told Joshua, this is great wisdom, that this book of the law shall not depart from your eyes. You know, God did not tell Joshua, this video clip, this footage, this audio recording is something you're going to treasure. No, God told him this book of the law, because law is contained in the book. And God told Joshua, observe to do according to all that's written down in that book, and in that manner you're going to be guaranteed of sweet success. Success is only guaranteed if you befriend the books that will be containing them the wisdom and the principles that pertain to life. I love what Apostle Paul told young Timothy. He told him, in spite of the fact that you have the gift, in spite of the fact that the calling of God is upon your life, study to show yourself approved of God. Now, Timothy could not get the approval he needed unless he studied. Now, we all know it's common practice that after you spent your several years in school, be it primary school or junior high school or university or whatever college you went to, that is when you get the approval in form of a certificate. Otherwise, what the authorities are telling you, you've not been licensed to do according to all that pertains to the wisdom we teach.